Wait a minute, you're telling me that young Joc and Lil Scrappy were just banned? That's exactly what's happening, and what's coming out next will blow your mind. These two got into a vicious, toxic fight that was so well documented that the industry simply kicked them both out. This isn't some staged reality show, people. This is pure, unadulterated betrayal like you can't even imagine. One insider said, "Bro, they used words against each other that I can't even repeat, and no one's inviting them back after what went down. Don't even consider clicking away, because in this video, we're going to uncover every dirty secret you never thought was possible. And trust me, this story is just getting started." All right, buckle up, because what I'm about to reveal will completely change your perception of these so-called industry brothers. You may be wondering why these so-called reality TV friends turned into real-life enemies. Did money, power, and ego finally destroy them? The biggest question is who leaked this fight, and why? According to a source who was present, those two men who were once widely publicized on reality TV as family are now banned as the public's number. One enemy after a shocking secret fight that left the industry reeling was leaked. Let's go back a moment, because this is not your typical beef. It's betrayal on a level so raw and personal that you'll feel like you're listening in on something that was never supposed to happen. Yes, right in the middle of the chaos, Joc and Scrappy went at each other's throats like rabid animals. One crew member who saw the fight whispered, "It was like watching two brothers stab each other in the back while the cameras rolled." And guess what? This wasn't a staged love and hip-hop moment. It was real, the rawest kind of real. But there's more bizarre news. The reason for the fight may be darker than anyone could have ever imagined. Rumors are circulating. And here's the thing. Scrappy had been moving behind Joc's back in an attempt to secure a huge deal with a rival production company. That's right, they both wanted the same check. What began as a handshake behind closed doors developed into a full-scale conflict when Joc discovered that Scrappy was quietly planning to steal his deal. Can you even imagine how Joc, who was known for being a laid-back, humorous, and go-with-the-flow Joc, suddenly snapped in a way that no one had ever seen before? When he confronted Scrappy about it, many said the room froze. He didn't back down and said, "I thought you were my brother, Scrappy." He also pointed out that Joc had attempted to cut him off months earlier. So imagine two grown men who have been loyal to each other for years now blowing up over a shady contract. But wait, because this is where things go haywire. As they were flinging hands, someone had their phone out, and yes, the entire fight was captured on gritty, shaky video from the first swear word to the final blow. The identity of the person who leaked the film is unknown. It could have been a rival, a resentful assistant, or someone seeking influence. But one thing is certain. After the video went viral, the entire reality TV industry collapsed. Producers were terrified, and fans began berating them online. The network had no choice but to ban both Joc and Scrappy indefinitely, which means that they will no longer be able to appear in clubs, make cameos, or appear in Brotherhood storylines. Fans couldn't believe it. In the meantime, social media erupted as people took sides like it was a street fight. Some said Joc was justified, while others said Scrappy had the right to secure his own bag. However, everyone was secretly wondering how things got so bad because, let's face it, Joc and Scrappy have always been messy. This was sabotage on a whole new level, and once the video went viral, everyone wanted a piece of the story. Bloggers, talk shows, and even talk radio are all yelling about the same thing. Who else was involved? When Scrappy learned that Joc had been flirting with someone close to Scrappy's inner circle last season, the friendship between Scrappy and Joc reportedly hung by a thread. And no, we're not talking about random groupies. We're talking about family. Yes, you heard me correctly. An anonymous source claims that Joc crossed a line with a woman Scrappy considered to be a sister. When that news broke, Scrappy apparently lost it. Instead of handling it off camera, he allowed it to simmer until The fateful day when the money drama finally blew the lid off. I know what you're thinking. Is this even real? But trust me, if you've ever watched these guys on TV, you know they thrive on chaos. But this time, it's the kind of chaos that destroys careers. The aftermath was pure carnage, with their entire team of managers, stylists, PR representatives, and others gone. The network, already under stress from dropping ratings, saw the fight as the ideal opportunity to deal with the scandal. Excuse to cut them loose, no apologies, no second chances. And that's how the reality stars went from being fan favorites to banned overnight. But we're only scratching the surface because you won't believe what happened next. A twist so crazy that the fight looked like a playground altercation turns out that the feds started sniffing around after the footage leaked. Yes, the actual authorities. It seems that the fight between Joc and Scrappy revealed more than just bruised egos. It may have broken open a money laundering ring connected to reality TV sponsorships. According to sources, investigators are now looking into sponsorship deals, dubious cash advances, and even phony charities that panic. What? Shady Insider even told me, "You think these guys fight for nothing?" It's always about money. And if you think fans were outraged before, you should have seen them after that. Rumors started circulating. #teams and #Team Scrappy hashtags were trending for days. People were defending them one moment, and then they were prepared to burn their jerseys. As all of this was happening, Joc and Scrappy went completely silent. No Instagram posts. No public statements, almost as if they had been told to keep their mouths shut for legal reasons. If the federal government is even looking into their finances, you can be sure that their lawyers told them to shut up. Meanwhile, their former reality co-stars couldn't help but weigh in. This is what happens when you mix fame, money, and fragile egos. Another person wrote, "Never trust a bro who calls you family but steals your check." The public loved it. Screenshots and reaction videos were reposted. The drama had a wider audience than any of their actual show episodes. But as the walls closed in on Joc and Scrappy, their families were also feeling the heat. Scrappy's mother was devastated. She had been telling everyone that Joc was like another son, but now she wouldn't even mention his name. Joc's crew was bewildered, enraged, and embarrassed. Everyone who had previously supported these two was now fleeing in fear of becoming the next to be exposed. And here's the shocking part. The leaked video may not have been the only one. On the street is that there is another, even worse video that is about to be released. It shows who else was in the room, promoting the fight, hyping it up, and possibly even placing bets on who would win. Yes, the floor-side bets. Furthermore, you know how the internet works once blood is in the water? There's no turning back. The next has the potential to destroy far more than just two reality stars. It could eliminate half of the people involved. The sharks were definitely circling, but who could have predicted they'd bite so quickly? Barely a day after the first video went viral, an anonymous social media account dropped a second, even more explosive clip, and this one showed exactly who was in that room. Hyping up the fight, encouraging them, and throwing money around like it was a backyard dogfight. These weren't just random groupies or extras, either. People felt completely betrayed. Those who had always screamed family over fame were now exposed for turning their brothers into blood sport for a couple of dollars. Fans were disgusted. Sponsors were terrified. The entire love and hip-hop ecosystem began to break apart. These were well-known figures who had always acted pious on TV, preaching about loyalty and brotherhood, but were caught in the act of throwing money at whoever would break whose jaw first. You could almost hear the gasps on the internet. While the rest of the world watched the leaks unfold, Joc and Scrappy were frantically trying to do damage control behind the scenes, for they lost every penny and every friend they had left. Their teams attempted to release a statement, but legal threats were made. One of the camera guys who snuck out the footage said, "Bro, it felt like we were watching a fight club that was one step away from someone pulling a weapon." No one could believe it. Came pouring in from all sides, preventing them from speaking. Meanwhile, producers were having a breakdown. Some were shouting at one another on the phone, while others were sobbing over lawsuits and federal charges. Because the feds were knocking on doors instead of just sniffing around. It is said that the FBI began calling production staff to inquire about shady payments, hush money side bets, and phony charities. No one wanted to be subpoenaed, so they began flipping, leaking, and talking more. The whole situation devolved into a petty fight over a TV check suddenly exposes a possible underground gambling ring, money laundering, and even blackmail. Consider that for a moment. The story had more layers than an onion, and each one smelled worse than the last. Meanwhile, people were divided on the street. Some fans felt sorry for Joc and Scrappy, calling them victims of a greedy industry that profits from drama. Others outright roasted them, saying they had it coming for trying to play dirty in the first place. But one thing was certain, no one would ever look at them the same way again. Everywhere they went to restaurants, clubs, and even gas stations, people took out their phones and pointed, whispering, and occasionally yelling, "Hey, aren't you the dudes who fought each other for a bag?" Joc, who was once the epitome of cool, couldn't even go grocery shopping without someone making fun of him. Scrappy's. He was given an ultimatum by his fiancée. Get your act together or get out. The stress was so great that, according to an insider, Scrappy's blood pressure skyrocketed, and he ended up in urgent care because he was having trouble breathing. Meanwhile, Joc was dealing with collapse. His club bookings dried up overnight, his old business partners ghosted him. And even his closest friends withdrew out of fear of becoming embroiled in the Fed's investigation. Everyone you've ever touched is involved, and if you think that's the end of it, think again. It turns out that the network had a mole. For months, someone from production had been giving information about Joc and Scrappy's backdoor deals to a rival network. As soon as the fight started, they handed over a stack of receipts so thick that they resembled a phone book. The rival network was already planning a do-over on Joc and Scrappy's demise in an attempt to profit from the wreckage. You can't even make this stuff up. If there's one thing this shows, it's that in the world of reality TV, loyalty is just a catchphrase they use to sell t-shirts. When the money is on the line, everyone turns, no one can answer. Joc's mom, who has always been a no-nonsense woman, apparently feels so disgusted that she told him she never wants to see him again. Scrappy's dad, who has been in and out of his life, tried to reach out, but Scrappy hung up on him. The audience is addicted to chaos, and nothing says chaos like a former brotherhood turning into a gladiator pick. However, let me tell you that the damage is deep. According to a source from a rival production company, networks are becoming stricter even with all of these repercussions. Fans are still eager for the next leak, the next scandal, the next embarrassing meltdown, and believe me, some of these so-called friends of Joc and Scrappy are lining up to sell out for a moment of clout. Street fights, they're not playing around. That means the entire reality TV industry might change forever because of these two. Imagine that two grown men fighting over a bag are changing the rules for hundreds of reality stars across the country. In the midst of it all, Joc and Scrappy were left staring at each other like two boxers who had gone 10 rounds and still had no winner. All those years of friendship, those fake on-screen tears, those I got your back, bro moments. And if that hits the net, nobody will ever be able to clean their name again. The idea of a third video was like a nuke waiting to go off for sponsors, managers, and the network. Everyone was on edge, terrified that one more scandal would ruin their entire operation. When Joc and Scrappy thought things couldn't get any worse, an Atlanta blogger claimed to have concrete evidence that Joc was operating side businesses for a gang connected to Atlanta's strip clubs. If that's true, which is a big if, the charges could go far beyond money laundering. We're talking about racketeering, conspiracy, possibly even violent crime. The money was slipping away, so the feds, investigators, fans, and enemies kept circling. It was like sharks smelling blood. The federal government detests it when someone tampers with their funds, especially when guns and gangs are involved. Scrappy is involved in any of that. His entire freedom could be at stake. I know it sounds crazy, but welcome to reality TV, where the plot unfolds on its own, and sometimes reality is far more bizarre than fiction. As Joc and Scrappy attempt to tidy up the mess, everyone else is pulling out their phones, keeping their eyes locked on every second of leaked footage, every rumor, and every little hint that could reveal something more serious. And this is just the beginning. The drama, betrayal, and lies are all here in their raw and unfiltered form for the world to see. And you know what? It's only going to get messier from here, because the feds aren't stopping, the fans aren't forgiving, and the receipts just keep coming. So you have to ask yourself, whose side are you on? Is Joe the mastermind who got too cocky for his own good? Or is Scrappy the reckless hothead who brought everyone down with him? Is it possible that they were both willing to sell their souls? For a quick headline, it's just chapter 1 of a story that will change your perception of your favorite celebrities. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think was really behind the fight? Do you believe the hush money rumors? Or is this all just a big rating scheme gone wrong? If you had to wager, will Joc and Scrappy survive this hurricane? Or are you the ones who have been writing these stories since day one? Since we don't just sip tea around here, we spill it hot and straight off the burner. Hit the like button if you want to keep these receipts coming in, and the subscribe button to ensure you never miss another expose. Stay tuned, keep asking questions, and keep in mind that in this game, the truth is stranger than fiction, always, always.